And raise your hand for a wireless mic before you ask a question. We'll start with Coach. Your opening thoughts on today's game.
I thought for the fact that we played less than 24 hours completely differently today was a great sign of the aptitude of our team, the attitude of our team, and the desire of our team. And I think that's how it played out. It didn't play great. It wasn't always pretty. They made baskets. But it's not going to be when you're playing against other competitive teams that are in this environment. But we played with great purpose. We went to a game plan that really was where we needed to end the game yesterday, and we didn't end it that way, but we came at it and established it right away. And I thought Yogi and Rob did a fantastic job of getting the team centered early, and Thomas did a great job of getting the team anchored. And then Colin and Nick were all over the court. And that's exactly what it has to be. And Thomas came out for a very young freshman, and after a tough day, one where he certainly could have played a lot better. We all could have played a lot better. We all could have done everything better. And we came out and did a much, much better job of that today. Offensively, defensively, there's still a lot of things we've got to get better at. We're the product right now on that front line of three very inexperienced freshmen and a senior that's transferred in. And our deck is not stacked when it comes to dealing with some of these other teams and low post defense and isolation abilities and things like that. But we made enough adjustments, and these guys did a very good job with their teammates playing with great resolve today.
Let's start with questions for the players. Please raise your hand and direct your question to a specific player. We'll start with Rob, right there, third row on left side.
Yogi, can you just talk about how tough it is to get up and play a 9 a.m. basketball game?
Well, I feel like we basically prepared for this. I say just playing AAU. AAU, they got games as early as 8 a.m. and you can play 3 or 4. So, I feel like a bunch of us have done this before. It is a little bit tougher, waking up, you're tired, but, you got to wake up early, take a shower, eat right, get your mind focused for a 9 a.m. game.
Left side, second row.
Thomas, was the game plan to go down to you in the first few minutes, and what kind of adjustments did you make from yesterday's game?
The type of adjustments I made was just staying on the attack. Just let the process go through and just play with my teammates and trust coach and all my teammates out there. And I just know, like, if I just keep playing, just keep running and posting up, that those guys give me the ball, and they did. Luckily, I made some moves and got some buckets in there, and just took it from there.
Yogi, coach mentioned that you kind of stood up this team after the loss yesterday. What was your role in getting this team regrouped and focusing on today's game?
Well, we were upset with the loss yesterday, but we looked at this as another opportunity for us to go out and show everybody what we're made of. And I felt like we did that today. We showed a lot of toughness. And it starts off in the first half. The last game we played, we didn't start off, with that mindset that we were going to go out and try and, beat these dudes. So I think that didn't transition over into this game. I think this game we started off very well, defensively and offensively.
Any other questions for players? Jeff, go ahead.
Yogi, just your thoughts on how you guys started getting up 15, and then it was a fight the rest of the way. Was it fatigue? Was it something they did? Kind of what happens for the last 25 minutes or so?
Well, when they score on, I think it was 6 of their last 8 possessions in the first half, you can't have that for us. And that's what we're still working on to this day. It's a matter of us getting up, staying up, just kind of finding a way to keep that lead. Playing against such great competition in this tournament, teams can make runs. And, when they make runs, you got to find a way to stop the bleeding.
Final question for players? All right, we'll let you guys get back to your locker room. Thank you. Let's open up the floor for questions for Coach. Jeff?
Coach, kind of same thing for you. The start was really good. You got up, I think, 15 within 12 minutes, and then they really hung around, got it within 4 or 5. What happened that you guys weren't able to just kind of, put the pedal down and really put distance there?
Well, I think they wanted to win. I think St. John's came to win as well. and I think that's got a little bit to do with it. But in the scheme of it, they're very good in the isolation game, and they found matchups. And this is new for Thomas, you know, being in those type of situations. And Chris does an excellent job, and he just kept finding matchups that he wanted throughout the game. And we zoned some, but we haven't spent enough time on the zone to be a good zone team. But we wanted to change it up a little bit. But he's got very good players, all right, and they're going to grow and become a very good team. I mean, he's done an excellent job from the start of the exhibition season to now. I think Chris has, and I just know him just a little bit. But I mean, obviously, what he did as a player and as an executive is going to transfer into him as a coach. I don't think there's any question about that. But we were a little ruffled today. There's no question about that. It's been a short turnaround. We didn't play that well. It's not like we went back and hung around our rooms and played Call of Duty and 2K. And we've had some hurt feelings. And the bottom line is they came out and they showed an edge and they showed a level of toughness today. And we had to compete. And we'll get a lot better, especially on the front line, as we get a better understanding of how to guard isolations, and we're giving up some strength, maybe not necessarily size, but we also turned the ball over. They scored too many points off the turnovers. But today was if it was going to be a 15-round fight, we wanted to make sure we could be in it all 15 rounds, and I think that ended up happening that way. It's not easy to win.
Rob, go ahead.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about the challenge of playing a basketball game less than, 18 hours or so after you've done with the last basketball game?
Well, I think you get times in your life, but you certainly get times in your season, and this is one of them where you can really look at it as a measuring stick. And the measuring stick for us is where we're going to turn back around and play, because I didn't like what I saw on the court yesterday, and I liked it even less after I watched the film. And they liked it even less after they saw the film. And so the bottom line, it was about coming out with an edge. It wasn't like we were going to put a lot of new things in. It wasn't about the X's and O's and the schemes as much as it was coming out with an edge and a resolve. And even though we didn't play great throughout the 40 minutes, and they had something to do with that as well, I thought that we played very hard and competitive. And we had a different level of urgency today than we did yesterday.
Right side, second row.
Tom, I know you don't talk. I know you don't want to put too much stock into starting lineups. You said you always said you could care more about who's on the floor at the end. But I guess did you get at some level a response you were looking for from a couple of the guys that maybe were pulled out of that lineup, and then also maybe a couple of the guys that went into that lineup?
Well, we needed to change the dynamic based on the way the game was yesterday. And in all honesty, there really wasn't. It could have gone a lot of different ways today, because it wasn't like you look back. Colin did a nice job yesterday, but he only played 11 minutes because of the foul trouble. But it wasn't like anybody that we would walk out of there yesterday. None of us did a good enough job yesterday. And so the bottom line becomes, we're going to change the dynamic a little bit and make sure that we understand that there's got to be certain standards that have to be met, especially in the hustle game. You know, and those are the type of things. And they weren't met yesterday, and hopefully they'll look like they have been met today. And that's why we made the changes. But again, if you're trying to build a two-deep team, then starting lineups to me shouldn't matter as much. The competitiveness of what you bring day in and day out should matter much more, and that's what we tried to utilize today.
Tom, what was, I guess, the process of moving on from that loss in the hours after that game yesterday? When you talk about going back to the hotel, not playing video games, not really enjoying the trip to Hawaii, but what was the process of moving on? Do you guys practice? Do you guys...
Well, we had a gym scheduled. We were scheduled to practice late, but the film session ended up being a little long. And fortunately, we're on a break right now, so we don't have to worry about the 20 hours, the 4 hours, and things like that. But we needed to get some points across. So really, for me, and for the staff, it was dive into the films. And I did the grades myself yesterday. And then getting into St. John's to a degree, but it was more about our team understanding how much better we have to play. And the flabbergasting news was that we had just put 40 minutes together at a pretty high level against a pretty good team on Thursday night. And I didn't want to overdo the fact that we're only into 4 games, because at the end of the day, we're only into 4 games, and it's still November. But the level of detail, the level of awareness, the level of effort and hustle yesterday wasn't anywhere near where it needed to be. So that needed to be addressed, and it needed to be seen, and then we needed to fix some things. And fortunately, we have a very big ballroom over at the Hyatt. We're very thankful that they moved us one day, so it's almost like we had a full court in there.
We'll take one final question for Coach. Right here in front.
I guess just to follow up on that, as much as we've talked about this team having more experience, did they see it without being told, kind of watching film, running back through yesterday, what went wrong, what they did wrong? I guess was there enough recognition without anybody having to point it out to them?
We didn't have a lot of personal meetings, so I don't know. When we really grow up, we'll have guys that have already watched the film before I get down there. And that's not common. There are very, 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 very few players, let alone programs, that are going to have many players that are going to look at it with a real critical, trained eye. Like I said, I didn't think we played well. And after I watched the film, I felt like we played worse. And I gave us too much credit for having 16 good minutes. We didn't. And we got away from what was working, and we got away from what we needed to do, and we needed to grow up in a matter of hours. So in answer to your question, the long story short answer would be I would imagine they did, because they came out and they played with a different level. It wasn't about coming out and playing hard for me. It was about coming out and playing hard for each other and playing more competitively for each other. My job is just to make sure that I provide a level of accountability for them to live up to.
Thank you for your time,
All right,
Coach.
thank you.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.